I doubt it, because he's not that kind of animal. He's a bit more equal than others.
I don't think either one of us wants to go back. I can see how attractive an idea it is for people who've enjoyed all that music, but I don't think that would happen again.
But it's an interesting idea. I wonder if he does ever wake up and go, my God, maybe Roger's right and I'm wrong.
Roger Waters left Pink Floyd in 1985. Well, that is usual. Bands break up all the time, and mostly that's where the story ends. But this was not the case with the big Pink Floyd. David Gilmour and Nick Mason decided they were going to keep going with the Pink Floyd name. Waters wasn't okay with that, so he took them to court to try to stop it. He lost the case. And from that point on, what could have been a normal band split turned into something much bigger. It basically became a situation that neither side has ever really moved past. Even 40 years later, it's not like they're constantly fighting. Sometimes things go quiet for a long time. But then, something happens. A reissue comes out, someone does an interview.
I'd just finished a tour. My band was quite hot at the time, and I thought, we're just going back to slacking around now, and I thought that we should gather together in a barn.
Or there's an argument over credits, and suddenly the tension shows up again.
If we could talk for a minute about Roger, if that's...
I knew this would come up.
There have been moments where it looked like things might finally settle down. The biggest one was the Live 8 reunion in 2005. For fans, it was huge, seeing Waters, Gilmour, Mason, and Wright on stage together again. It felt like everything had finally come full circle. But in reality, it didn't fix the deeper problems between them. And in the last few years, the disagreements have gone beyond music. There have been public clashes over politics, especially around the war in Ukraine, discussions around Pink Floyd's catalog sale to Sony, and a few interviews where both sides have said things that are pretty hard to walk back.
We are Pink Floyd, you know, Roger's left. It's a very simple matter. In my mind, it's a simple matter. It's a rock and roll group. Someone's left, the others get to carry on.
So the real question is, how did things actually get this bad? To understand that, you have to go back to how Pink Floyd actually worked, and how the balance inside the band slowly shifted over time. Because the feud didn't start as a headline or a public argument, it started quietly, from the inside. Early Pink Floyd was built around Syd Barrett, his personality, his writing, and his whole way of seeing things. When that era ended, the band had to figure out what it was without him.
I mean, everybody listens. We don't need it very loud to be able to hear it, and with some of it is very quiet, in fact. Right. Personally, I like quiet music just as much as loud music.
And that process changed how things worked internally. As the band moved forward, Waters gradually took on a bigger role in shaping where the music was going. The themes got darker and more serious, moving toward ideas about time, money, war, and human isolation. He has been pretty open about wanting to steer the band away from what he saw as the whimsy of the Barrett years and towards something with more weight to it. That said, the rest of the band still mattered in a real way. Pink Floyd worked because of a specific combination of things, where Waters brought the concepts and the narratives while Gilmour and the others built the sound around them. The atmosphere, the emotion, the scale of it all. That combination is what made something like The Dark Side of the Moon feel the way it does, and it genuinely took everyone to pull it off. But this is where it starts to get complicated. When a band becomes known for big concept albums, the person driving those concepts naturally starts to feel like the creative center of everything. At the same time, the people turning those concepts into actual music feel equally responsible for what it became. That balance holds as long as everyone feels their contribution is being recognized. And by the late 1970s, that was clearly no longer the case. Creative control had become a real point of friction. Relationships inside the band were fraying, and things got difficult enough that Richard Wright, the band's keyboardist, was pushed out during that period. The story had stopped being about a personality clash and became something more structural. Pink Floyd had built itself around whoever was driving the concept. And in a band that works that way, that person can start to genuinely feel like they are the band itself. Waters started to feel exactly that, and that feeling is really where the deeper trouble began. By the time the band reached the end of its early 1980s run, the pressure had gone beyond creative differences and become genuinely interpersonal. Waters' perfectionism and need for control had been straining relationships for a while, and things came to a head after the final cut. An album so heavily shaped by his writing that many people consider it closer to a solo record than a band effort. Shortly after, he left. But what matters here is not just that he left. It is what he believed his leaving meant. In Waters' view, Pink Floyd without him was not Pink Floyd carrying on. It was Pink Floyd getting it wrong, continuing under a name that no longer meant what it was supposed to mean.
The band is over. That's the end of it. The work is there, it stands, it'll be there, it's recorded online. It's not the legend. It's not that important. In fact, it's important that it be destroyed.
When the dispute reached the courts, the result was that Gilmour and Mason kept the Pink Floyd name while Waters retained rights connected to the wall. And that outcome, as straightforward as it sounds on paper, carried a lot of bitterness inside it, because it effectively meant the band's identity could continue without the person who believed he had built it. That is really the moment the feud became official. It stopped being an internal falling out and turned into a public dispute about ownership, legitimacy, and what the Pink Floyd name actually stood for. The reason fans have been arguing about this ever since is that both sides have a point that is genuinely easy to understand. From Waters' perspective, if the defining work came from his concepts and his lyrics, then carrying on without him is keeping the shell while throwing away what was inside it. From Gilmour's perspective, the band was never one person's vision, made real.
We've managed to achieve, and I see no reason whatsoever why I should give that up, just because one guy says he doesn't want to do it anymore. It's not the normal thing, is it? I mean, if someone leaves a group or something, that the others normally get to carry on.
It was a combination of people, sounds, and chemistry, and there is no reason that should stop existing just because one member decided to leave. The legal resolution in the late 1980s didn't end anything. It just established where the boundaries were. Pink Floyd carried on without Waters, and that fact has shaped every argument about legitimacy since, because it never stopped being a sore point. And yet the story has one moment fans keep coming back to. In 2005, Waters joined Gilmour, Mason, and Wright on stage at Live 8 in London, and for one night the four of them were Pink Floyd again. Waters has since said he was glad they had the chance to play together, particularly because Wright was still alive. He has also been clear that he has no interest in it happening again. That reunion did something complicated to the narrative. It showed that getting back on stage together was not completely impossible, but it also gave fans a taste of something they had been waiting decades for, which made the door closing again feel even harder. Then, in 2011, Gilmour and Mason both appeared during Waters' wall tour at the O2 Arena, adding another layer to an already complicated picture. These moments matter because they made the later refusals land differently than they would have otherwise, and the refusals have been direct. Gilmour has said there is no possible way he would perform with Waters again. Waters, in a 2024 Reuters interview, responded to the idea of a reunion with "no, whatever for," and made clear the nostalgia simply is not there for him. So a reunion is not where this story is going.
It's a nostalgic, something or other, need in maybe you even, but it's not in me. I loved my time in Pink Floyd.
But the feud does not need one to keep going, because at this point it runs on something else entirely: legacy management. If the 1980s were about contracts and the right to the name, the 2020s have been about something different. Who gets to control the narrative and speak officially as Pink Floyd? In 2020, Waters publicly claimed he had been banned from Pink Floyd's website and social channels, arguing that those platforms existed because of work done by everyone in the band, not just one person. Then in 2021, a dispute over the Animals remix became another flashpoint, with Waters alleging that Gilmour blocked the release unless certain liner notes were removed. Whether you accept that framing or not, the point is that even a routine archival release can become a fight about credit and history when the relationship is this damaged. Then the feud moved into genuinely riskier territory. In 2022, Gilmour and Mason released Hey Hey Rise Up under the Pink Floyd name in support of Ukraine, the first newly recorded Pink Floyd single in decades. Waters criticized the track publicly. He also made his own statements about the war that drew significant backlash, including an appearance at the UN Security Council in February 2023 at Russia's invitation, where he condemned the invasion but also described it as provoked and called for a ceasefire.
I also condemn the provocateurs in the strongest possible terms. Please change course now. Agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine today.
Around the same time came what is probably the most publicly damaging episode in the feud's recent history. Polly Sampson, who is Gilmour's wife, posted a series of pointed accusations against Waters online. Gilmour backed her publicly, writing, "Every word demonstrably true." Waters issued a statement saying he refuted the claims and was taking legal advice. That exchange mattered because it shifted the nature of the conflict. It was no longer just a dispute about band politics or creative credit. It became a very public argument about character. And that kind of argument leaves a different kind of mark. The distance between a creative falling out and something like this is considerable, and it is not the kind of thing either side can easily move. Where does it all stand now? Pretty much where you would expect. Mason has said he would be open to a reunion, but does not see the appetite for it from either Waters or Gilmour. Waters has said a reunion is not in him. Gilmour has closed the door completely. All three have gone on record recently, and none of their points have pointed toward any kind of reconciliation. What is actually happening instead is that the music keeps moving forward without any of that being resolved. In October 2024, Pink Floyd sold their recorded catalog and name and likeness rights to Sony for around $400 million, with songwriting rights staying separate. That deal matters because it shifts a lot of the decisions about what gets released, restored, and packaged to a new owner, which means fewer moments where Gilmour and Waters have to reach any kind of agreement. The legacy machine is already running. The Live at Pompeii film got a full restoration and a worldwide cinema release in 2025. The Wish You Were Here anniversary brought a deluxe edition that presented Shine On You Crazy Diamond as one continuous piece. Waters released his own reimagining of The Dark Side of the Moon. The music keeps getting repackaged, restored, and reissued, and each release quietly carries the same unresolved story inside it. That is really what makes this a never-ending war. Not that the two of them are constantly fighting, but that Pink Floyd as a legacy keeps generating new occasions for the old argument to resurface. Every release asks whose version of the story is being told, and nobody has answered that question yet. And that's it for today. If you like the breakdown, share it with your fellow Pink Floyd fans and hit the sub button.